Belly Moose Tracks. Auntie Susan she's waiting in between dog walking jobs. So I thought that I would read you a book because this is something I've been wanting to do. And I kind of planned it a different way, but I got lots of time on my hand right now because, COVID-19 and all that. It'll be an exciting story to tell you when you're older. But either way, I wanted to go ahead and read you a book. I'm going to read you The Big Orange Splot. It is one of my favorites. I think I actually stole your copy so that I could read it to you. So I will show you the pictures and then eventually we'll get it back to you and you can, see it in person. But here we go. The Big Orange Splot by Daniel Manis Pinkwater. I was going to read upside down, so this could be interesting. Let's see. First page. Okay. Let's try again. Mr. Plumbeam lived on a street where all the houses were the same. He liked it that way. So did everybody else on Mr. Plumbeam Street. This is a neat street, they would say. Then one day, a seagull flew over Mr. Plumbeam's house. He was carrying a can of bright orange paint. No one knows why. And he dropped the can, no one knows why, they never do, right over Mr. Plumbeam's house. It made a big orange splot on Mr. Plumbeam's house. Ooh, too bad, everybody said. Mr. Plumbeam will have to paint his house again. I suppose I will, said Mr. Plumbeam. But he didn't paint his house right away. He looked at the big orange splot for a long time. Then he went about his business. Sometimes you get tired. The neighbors got tired of seeing that big orange splot. Someone said, Mr. Plumbeam, we wish you'd get around to painting your house. Because homeowners association, they're like that. Okay, said Mr. Plumbeam. He got some blue paint and some white paint, and that night he got busy. He painted at night because it was cooler. And, cover of night. I'm surprised he's in yellow and green. He should be in all black. Hey, Ellie Moose Tracks. Modi called, so the video cut out. So we'll just start where we left off. I believe I was making some excellent commentary about how you're supposed to sneak around at night. But that's fine. When the paint was gone, let's see. When the paint was gone, the roof was blue. The walls were white, and the big orange splot was still there. Then he got some more paint. He got red paint, yellow paint, green paint, and purple paint. In the morning, the other people on the street came out of their houses. Their houses were all the same, but Mr. Plumbeam's house was like a rainbow. It was like a jungle. It was like an explosion, which is awesome. Just don't actually explode any houses, please. Look at how cool that shit is. There was the big orange splot, and there were little orange spots. So here we go. Little orange spots, there were stripes, there were pictures of elephants and lions and pretty girls. Pretty girls? You shouldn't be putting that in a children's book, that's rude. And steam shovels. The people said, Plumbeam has popped his cork, flipped his wig, blown his stack, and dropped his stopper. They went away muttering. That day, Mr. Plumbeam bought carpenter's tools. That night, he built a tower on top of his roof, and he painted a clock on that tower. I'm suspicious. Does the clock work? That's a good question. It looks really nice, though. The next day, the people said, Plumbeam has gushed his mush, lost his marble, and slipped his hawser. I have no idea what a hawser is. That's a good thing. We should look it up together. They decided they would pretend not to notice. That very night, so this is like 3 nights going in. That very night, Mr. Plumbeam got a truck full of green things. He planted palm trees, baobabs, thorn bushes, onions, and frangipani. I have no idea what that is. That's a good question. In the morning, he bought a hammock and an alligator, because you can just go out and buy an alligator at the store. When the other people came out of their houses, they saw Mr. Plumbeam swinging in a hammock between 2 palm trees, not getting eaten by an alligator, but you know, cool. They saw an alligator lying in the grass. Mr. Plumbeam was drinking lemonade. Does he have a job? Does he have a job? He must. Maybe he's independently wealthy. He definitely looks very happy. Plumbeam has gone too far. This used to be a neat street. Plumbeam, what have you done to your house? The people shouted. My house is me and I am it. My house is where I like to be, and it looks like all my dreams, Mr. Plumbeam said. That's fair. Your house really should look like all your dreams. Or at least, you work on your dreams in your house. Or really, just work on your dreams wherever you want. You make your house yours. It's your place. It's your own. You got this. The people went away. They asked the man who lived next door to Mr. Plumbeam to go and have a talk with him. Tell him that we all liked it here before he changed his house. Tell him that his house has to be the same as ours so we can have a neat street. I'm a little worried the longer videos won't be able to be texted to your mama. So I'm just making it in parts. So where we left off, here we go. The man went to see Mr. Plumtree that evening. See, they're having lemonade. That's real cool. They sat under the palm trees, drinking lemonade and talking all night long. Okay, my question is, there's some purple grass going on. How did they make that happen? I want to know. Early the next morning, the man went out to get lumber and rope and nails and paint. When the people came out of their houses, they saw a red and yellow ship next door to the house of Mr. Plumbeam. It looks really cool, though. What have you done to your house? They shouted at the man. My house is me, and I am it. My house is where I like to be, and it looks like all my dreams, said the man, who had always loved ships. He's just like Plumbeam, the people said. He's got bees in his bonnet. I love that he's wearing a bonnet. Bats in his belfry and nuts in his noodle. Then, one by one, they went to see Mr. Plumbeam late at night. They would sit under the palm trees and drink lemonade and talk about their dreams. And whenever anybody visited Mr. Plumbeam's house, the very next day, that person would set about changing his own house to fit his dreams. Okay, what about her house and her dreams? These are things you have to question when you're older, Ellie Moose Tracks. Also, going in the dark of the night to have these conversations, don't get me wrong, late night chats are where it's at. Drinking lemonade. Now, is there something else in the lemonade? Question for when you're older, but question the patriarchy always. So these are the houses of the neighbors. Hot air balloon. Ooh, that one looks kind of like a cake. I like that one. It makes me really want some cake, I'm not gonna lie. A castle. Ooh, very, very Grecian. Although this looks like Mr. Plumbeam, and that's a little weird. Just throwing it out there. Whenever a stranger came to the street of Mr. Plumbeam and his neighbors, The stranger would say, this is not a neat street. It really depends on how you think about neat. I'm just throwing that one out there too. Then all the people would say, our street is us and we are it. Our street is where we like to be and it looks like all our dreams. I'm sure there's more than, what, 6 on that street, but you know, you gotta make sure you can do what you do. The end. I love you, Ellie Belly. I hope you're having a wonderful time and at least not getting into too much trouble while you're out of school. And I can't wait to see you. I love you. Bye.